Welcome all of you. We are going to use this opportunity to have a little bit informal talk with our guests. This is a series where we will be trying to generate some rational discourse on various issues of interest. So we are starting it off with our guest, Mr. Aslam Chauhan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Heather. It's a great pleasure. And thanks for providing this opportunity to share thoughts.
Yeah, I think we are fortunate enough that you have a strong academic background in physics. So that's I think one of the most important sciences. And then you also have experiential knowledge of working in the field of computers. So I think you are one of the best personalities one can have to talk about science-related issues, especially the interest of our young lot in science as a subject as well as a career. So perhaps I would be interested in knowing about the interest of Pakistani community, especially the youth of Pakistani community living in British society. To what extent they are interested in education in general and science in particular?
Well, physics is the fundamental foundation of all what we know about this world. It is a very big advantage to have been in this field, and it is true that you get to a certain cultural approach to thinking, which is that it has to be evidence-based, to work from a theoretical background, but at the end of the day, it is evidence which makes something stand or fall. So that is a very big advantage, and it also trickles down into your daily life. And I must say, fundamentally, we are all scientists. When we go and do shopping, we are very careful about what to buy, what are the prices, we are balancing things. And as a theory, someone has told us that shop is better, so you should go and buy things from there.
Yeah.
So that sort of process we deal with every day in our life. We might switch off at certain times, but most of the time, everyone is scientific. The other thing is that it is also true that people who do physics, probably many of them I have come across, they do physics in the laboratory, but when they go home or in their other affairs, they have a switch which they switch off. And then somehow other things become more overpowering. As far as the people I have met, older and younger, they're mostly out to eke out a living. They have come back or come from circumstances which they don't feel comfortable about, but they also carry a baggage, and that baggage is that, we are probably not being accommodated properly, or there's a feeling that our thinking, our way of approach is much superior, and all this is temporary, and things will change to our way of thinking.
So Mr. Chauhan, what I understand from what you have explained is that for majority of our students, physics, chemistry, or these physical sciences, they are more like subjects which they need to pass in exams, or at the most just for earning a livelihood, that's all. But they don't take it as a way of thinking. and they don't really enrich their other spheres of life with this way of thinking. And that's what for you is a little point of concern, what I can
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. As a general thing, society is becoming more functional.
Mm-hmm.
The underlying principles are not really visible to people, and probably they shouldn't really be caring about. But what is important is to understand that if we are using a gadget, that there is a science behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There is something which is based on hard physical facts and
Mm-hmm.
theories and things like this thing,
Mm-hmm.
which they don't appreciate.
Yeah.
And also, you are very, very right that for them, this has not been a thing which is connected with life.
Mm-hmm.
These subjects and these things have just been there to just get through
Mm-hmm.
to a certain level so that they can jump across to another level.
Mm-hmm.
I give you a little small example. I came across a student and he said there is a peer he knows in Pakistan, and he was in personal contact with him. And he used to cure paralysis by rubbing some oil on the limbs and all. And I asked him, I said, paralysis happens because something happens in the brain. So probably he should be opening the brains of people and putting his oil there, right? And instead of understanding it, it became a question of being challenged, and which I found very strange. I mean, it was a very clear, logical thing.
Yeah.
No offense was meant,
Yeah.
and the thing was to show him that there is some trickery going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and this I find is very, very common, this approach.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have not had this background before, but at least they can have a mind to absorb things and all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's very good for them to have NHS and to have all these gadgets working for them.
Mm-hmm.
But giving one example, but
Yeah.
almost every one of them.
So going back to my original question, that's this is the country which we identify with Charles Darwin, with Newton. So those founding fathers of these sciences. So when here they don't have any excuse that resources not available or good schools are not available. Perhaps in Pakistan we can have a little bit of this excuse. That's why I just wanted to know to what extent our Pakistani community is really utilizing those resources which are available here in terms of getting high quality education and especially making name in the field of science.
Well, I personally don't think they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's they're here. I mean, if they feel that Cisco certification will get them a good job, which it does, and so they will take up these courses, and it's not really very hard to pass these courses, but they're not really into understanding what are the things which drive this universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that element of curiosity, that element of doubting things and exploring new avenues, is that something which you feel is missing?
Yes.
So do you think that it is just that they are not aware of, or is it something cultural, or maybe something relating to the faith community? Is it? I mean, are there some understandable reasons for that?
Yes, I think culturally we have a structure of authoritarian culture, and the practice of science is basically fundamentally non-authoritarian, and the tradition in a country like UK is, although I'm not saying that the authority doesn't exist or there is a hierarchy doesn't exist and all these things are not there, but fundamentally, in a major sense, it is an anti-authoritarian culture, which has come over about 350 years. But we have a culture which is totally authoritarian, and which brings in servility, which brings in not to question how we are. and the other thing is, many of them I have met, they have this picking up of knowledge about, say, of things like quantum physics, and they don't really understand what it is. Some of them I have met, they have tried to explain Einstein's relativity to me, and I found out they didn't even understand the fundamental laws of motion. But they write articles and they stretch these things like a rubber band to fit what they already know about things, about their own background. I've met quite a few numbers of people, like, let's say, who are just here. I've been quite astonished that they carry on ideas which are totally bizarre to me. I met one person, and he was a great admirer of Tahirul Qadri, and I said there is a video on this in which he is going around a grave, and he's telling this dead man to say the kalima.
Okay.
And how can you be doing these things? So, but the thing was, they're here, and they're here basically either to get settled here, which is not wrong. Everyone should have the right to have a better living, and that's not really wrong. But they're also here so that they can somehow influence this society.
Yeah.
Instead of saying that, okay, what are the reasons? Why do we have these things? Like, a few days ago I was told about a boy who has always acknowledges what I'm saying, but in the end he condemns me for not believing in magic and things like this thing. And it turned out his wife came from Pakistan a year or so back, and she's pregnant. And now he's so astonished how things work, that she's being called to the hospital on her own. She gets a letter, and they're calling him to talk about this thing. And now he's praising, oh, it's such a good system. But
then in the end they say they have copied it from us. You find it quite regularly.
Yeah, I'll come to that question, which is a very good question actually. What I'm trying to say is that if I try to point out that, look, don't you think it is a moral thing to do this?
Yeah.
And this morality hasn't come to them because some religion has told them. It is because they have built this up, that this is necessary, this is how we live, and we should have better care of each other and things like this thing. And when we come to these things, then it is quite difficult. They don't agree. And this is a standard approach to what is why things are wrong with us. It's because, well, they have copied us.
Yeah.
Well, if they have copied us, then you can copy them back.
Yeah,
it's not a problem.
Thing, yeah.
The other thing which they say is, oh, these people don't let us do these things. But on the other hand, if a country like Pakistan wants to make the nuclear bomb, and all the world is stopping them, they still make it. So these are not excuses. I agree that these are things which are probably one person cannot initiate, but to have this psyche on a national level, right, on an international level, that everything is being conspired against.
Yeah.
They have taken in.
Yeah,
nuclear bomb. A Turkish man met Allama Iqbal, and he told him that formula and all. I mean, this is just trying to revive a past which doesn't exist. And it's all right, but if we see a famous person and we go and talk to him and shake his hands, we get this good feeling, or we are sort of bonding with him. We have a sort of identity with him. It's all right to have your identity that, all right, we were so great and all. Right? Yeah. But this doesn't mean that you cannot analyze. Were we really great, or was our history just like any other nation's history or any civilization's history?
With ups and downs, which are quite normal. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chauhan, for your very enlightening discourse. We will carry it on and we will have many more sessions. We have so much to learn from you. So hopefully very soon you will give us another opportunity to discuss few more things.
Dr. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope with these sort of discourses, and I must compliment you for initiating on this thing.
All our viewers, wherever they are strongly encouraged. If they have any questions, so please don't hesitate to ask, and we will try to answer all your questions.
Can I just say one thing? I mean, a thing like you go to a doctor and he puts on a blood pressure machine on front of you, and there's a functional thing that, all right, he's, but these are important things to make your life better. How to tell you what is really going on inside. But ultimately, what does it depend upon? It's the science which has gone into making these things.
Yes, that's important.
Right? You might not understand the principles which are there, but at least you know the methodology of these things. So that's what I understand is important.
Okay. So on this very pleasant note, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. for having me.
Setting.
And
thank you.
Best of luck in future also.
Thank you very much.